Hey, welcome. Today's March 3rd. No, it's not March 3rd. It's March 5th. It's my mom's birthday. You should know that. Don't call her and tell her, please.
Oh, the truth.
March 5th. Happy birthday, Mom. I know you're listening. Just kidding. 64 years young. I love my mom. She's amazing.
Another mama's boy.
Yes, I will admit to that, Mr. Price.
Me too.
I mean, she reminds me there's only one mom. Remember. So today is March 5th. Welcome to 2014. Welcome to the Public Works and Gang Reduction Committee meeting. I'm joined by the Honorable Council Member Corinne Price out of the 9th District. Thank you to those who are here joining us. If you'd like to speak on a non-agenda item, please be sure to fill out a speaker card. And we'll now open public comment. Mr. Clerk, do we have any public comment cards on non-agenda items?
No, we do not.
Okay, therefore we will close public comment and take, unless we have any objections from Mr. Price, we'll take items 2, 4, and 5 on consent. Hearing no objections, that'll be the order. And with that, we'll take item number 1. And if you can read that item into the record, sir, I'd appreciate it.
Item number 1 is a report from the Bureau of Engineering relative to the vacation of Vermont Avenue in the 85th Street Vacation District.
Okay. We have Mr. Yu here from BOE. Welcome. And then we have a number of speaker cards on this item. We'll first hear from the city staff, and then we'll take the speaker cards.
Good afternoon, Edmund Yu, Public Works Bureau of Engineering. This is a request to vacate a public street, Vermont Avenue and 85th Street, and an existing public alley in conjunction with a proposed commercial development. My understanding is that the developer had previously worked with CRA and for this proposed project, and engineering has reviewed this application, and we are recommending the vacation be approved with conditions.
So we have Council District 8 making some amendments to the BOE report. Is that my understanding?
That I'm not aware of.
Okay. So as of right now, there's no amendments requested by CD8. Hi, how are you?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Representing Mr. Price's office? I'm sorry, Mr. Parks' office. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, council members.
Speak into the mic, please, for those listening.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Noel Palais. I'm with the office of Council Member Bernard Parks. Just with regards to this is the community has been looking for an appropriate and responsible development at Vermont and Manchester since shortly after 1992 and the events that took place in our communities. This particular project has been in the development phases for quite some time, and we are very interested and excited to see it move forward. However, we cannot unconditionally support the endeavor without there being safeguards in place that will ensure that this project is initiated and continuously moves forward. You will hear from at least one member of the community who has been directly involved in trying to get this project off the ground for the better part of a decade, and can attest that for one reason or another, whether intentional or unintended, this community has had to suffer the consequences of not being able to fully realize its potential. Our intent at this meeting is to make sure that there be certain conditions attached to the approval, most importantly being that the commercial component must be constructed. As a council office, we cannot support the request that is before you and not have this particular provision intimately attached as a condition. Furthermore, there must be a set, defined timeline that clearly identifies markers and/or milestones that must be reached in order to fully materialize this project. As such, the developer must work with our office in establishing a reasonable timeline for initiating the project, which would include but not be limited to its plan check and plan approval process, as well as the previously mentioned construction markers and milestones that must be reached to show good faith that this project is continuously and positively moving forward. It is our intent that these conditions be clearly identified and our intent captured in the report that will be voted on by the full council. Thank you.
Mr. Yu, can you respond to those comments from Mr. Parks' office?
Yeah, definitely. If the Bureau of Engineering is willing to work with the council office or whatever recommendations and conditions they want to put on, and we will monitor the vacation. The only thing we cannot monitor is the project development itself, because normally that is under planning department or building and safety jurisdiction. But as far as the vacation, we definitely will work with the council office to monitor the progress on this.
Okay. Is Mr. Parks okay with this moving forward as is?
Yes.
Very good. Okay. Thank you very much. I want to take now, I'm sorry, Mr. Price,
Yeah,
questions?
just
I'm
a
so
question.
sorry.
Could you just describe the project, the proposed project, what's being proposed?
Yeah, according to the applicant, this is a 200,000 square feet commercial development. What they are trying to do is to vacate a portion of existing Vermont Avenue, which has a surface road and frontage road, and they also want to create a cul-de-sac on 85th. So basically, they are trying to consolidate property on 2 blocks into one single
Right,
block
yeah.
and to allow the development to happen.
Yeah, I know it's been vacant for a while. But any more specifics about the proposed development, though?
That I don't really have that information with me.
I think
That would go through Plum, maybe?
No, I think we've got some
Or we-
The developers.
developers here.
Ray, I think you're going to
Perhaps they can-
speak on it? You guys pulled the card, sir? Okay, fantastic.
Okay.
Okay, let's bring them up now. If you can identify yourselves for the purpose of, so I know, is it Mylan? Okay, welcome. Come on up, sir. Mylan Garrison?
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, we are proposing about a 200,000 square foot commercial development. It's more of what we consider to be an entertainment village, similar to the Grove in the style and design, very pedestrian oriented, and so that's one of the reasons why we're vacating the streets, so we create the continuity and the connectivity. So we maintain the continuity and connectivity between the development as a single phase development and not have it bifurcated by the street that would bisect it at 85th. So that allows us to do that. The project has been submitted to the planning department. It is going through the expedited review process. We do have an approved traffic study, and the EIR addendum has already been completed and submitted to the city for its review. So the next steps in the process for us is for it to be scheduled for a hearing, and that's what we're waiting on at this point in time. The architect is actually working on the construction docs, so we are moving forward. We would concur and agree with the conditions that the council office would like to impose, and we're okay with them.
And in order for this project to be successful, you would need the street vacation.
Correct.
Fantastic. This is an impressive project. This is great for the...
Yes. Yeah, and then we'll cul-de-sac it so that there is a parking garage on the the parcel in the back where the light blue was actually zone P. We'll convert it to commercial in order to allow for the parking garage as well as a supermarket. So it's a pretty intense.
It's exciting.
Exciting
It's
project, I think.
Fantastic. Okay, Mr. Garrison, thank you very much. Yes. In the mic.
Supermarket, I see supermarket, I see a nice CVS drug. Is there a movie spot in here? Or
There isn't. We can. We are actually right now looking for the tenancies. Our focus is really on sit-down quality restaurants. That's in order to make the pedestrian oriented scale work. So that's our focus and attention.
Wow, look at that.
We do have Walgreens as a representative here. They're very interested in that hard corner that we've shown. So we're pretty far down the line with it.
It looks like an exciting project.
Yeah. I think the architect has done a great job in capturing the vision of the community as well as the owner's intent.
It's impressive. Very good. Any other questions? No. Good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr.
Appreciate
Gershon.
it.
Hey, I'd like to call up and welcome Robert Rubin. Walter Cathy, Senior? Junior, sorry. Don't count that against me, sir.
That's okay. My dad would have a problem.
Welcome. Representing Walgreens.
Give him our regards too, please.
Will do. Thank you, council members, for allowing me to speak. My name is Walter Cathy Jr. Everybody calls me Wally. I'm here as a representative for Walgreens, and I have a letter of support for the project. I just also want to thank Vermont Village CDC for allowing me to speak as well. And we've been tracking this potential opportunity for some time now. first time I became aware of this site was in 1992. So here we stand, still talking. I was not with Walgreens in 92, but here we are. But I think based off of the site plans that I've seen, it's something that we do have an interest in, and we like to move forward with this particular project.
Thank you, sir. Rob, any questions? Robert Rubin, welcome.
Councilman, my name is Robert Rubin. I represent Vermont Village Community Development Corporation, which is an association with Crystal Christian Center at 79th and Vermont. And we are in support of the vacation of the service road and the cul-de-sac area of 85th Street. We have been waiting for this project since 1992. As a developer in the area who's done multifamily housing over the years, worked in the area during the civil unrest, and trying to make sure that we have the same amenities that are afforded other communities. We are here to support this project, and we'd like to see that this sit-down restaurant, the financial institution, the drugstore, and the market be placed at this site. And we feel that this time around this project here is very viable, and we're looking forward to seeing it in our community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And our last speaker on this item, Sasson Development. And I should get your name, sir, for the record. Barry? Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, council members, for letting me speak today. I represent the developer, Sasson Development. I've been involved in this project for the past 8 or 9 years, putting it, assembling it, and putting it together. I believe that the vacation requested here today will facilitate the development of a project that this community deserves and is long waited for. And by allowing the vacation to go forward and putting the two parcels together, it affords the ability to really make a project that is not just a little strip center or one single block, and will really enhance what this community has been promised by this developer, and will finally bring to fruition what has been promised since 1992. So I'm asking, and I can't really add much more than the people that have spoken before me, that the vacation be allowed to go forward. I think it will enhance the project greatly, and as you can see, it's an ambitious project, but we're moving forward. The plans are in progress, and we intend to get this project built.
I appreciate your comments, and to our previous speakers and to you, we thank you for investing in South Los Angeles. The area has been thirsting for economic development opportunities. My question is, how many jobs will this create? And two, we want to make sure that the people building this project are the people who live in the community.
I think that we've addressed both. We don't have an exact count because obviously the amount of people that we'll employ will be dependent upon the uses that are inherent within the project, but it is in the hundreds, and we also believe that
How about the construction jobs?
Yeah, but we believe that permanent jobs that will be
Right.
created will be in the hundreds.
In the hundreds?
Yes.
So then how about construction jobs? What's your anticipated number count? Job
We
count?
don't have a final count on that. We're still progressing with the different contractors that we've been discussing with, and are making sure that that is incorporated in the contracts that we will be executing on behalf of the developer.
Okay. Mr. Price?
No, just curious, that, again, just looks like a really exciting project, and it sounds like you certainly have a commitment to following this through.
Well,
And I'm sure it's consistent with the councilman's desire that the retail be built as a part of what's going on. Not just, the question, is there a nonprofit, do you have a community-based organization that you're partnering with on this, or who's partnering with you on this?
we are discussing it with Robert Rubin's organization and are very serious about that.
I would encourage you to keep those conversations going.
No, and we are keeping that conversation going. It is an open dialogue that we hope to conclude.
Also be remiss for not acknowledging Mr. Parks and his leadership in providing these types of jobs and economic development opportunities in South Los Angeles. So please offer our gratitude to our colleague, Councilmember Parks. And I see members of the community. Please stand if you're in favor of this project. Fantastic. Thank you. I thank you for leading the charge and advocating for jobs in South Los Angeles in your neighborhood, and we acknowledge you for your efforts and your advocacy efforts as well to do what's right for your community and working hand in hand with the development team and the council office as well. So thank you very much.
I too just want to applaud your presence here today. Please be seated. I want to applaud your presence, and I just hope you will be tracking this project all the way through, and I'm sure the council office will welcome, and the developer will welcome your involvement and your vigilance, making sure that the project does meet your expectations and that they follow through on the promises that they make. So thank you for your support.
If I can piggyback on that, in '92 I graduated high school. We cannot delay progress here. I mean, this has been a long time in waiting, right? This is an area that deserves economic development opportunities and growth and creating jobs and construction jobs and sustainable jobs in this area. So let's not delay progress. Let's move forward on something that's going to be huge for the community. Just looking at these pictures, incredible. So those who stood in the community, let's continue to hold us accountable, hold the developers accountable to make sure this gets done and gets done in a timely manner. Thank you so much. So with that, we on item 1 will amend the BOE report. Actually, we need to amend it. This is approved. We'll approve item number 1 as the report states and fulfill the request to vacate the street without objection.
No objection. Do we need to put some language in that reflects the council office's concern, or is that just?
I think Mr. Yu. I know there's some concerns with CD 8. I keep mixing you guys. But Mr.
Yeah, I think I can maybe work with the council office to include some language to require them to make sure the commercial portion of the development is going to take place, and we can probably do it by the developer agreeing to record an agreement to do it in the future, and that has to be done before the vacation can be finalized.
Okay, fantastic. So it's already going to happen.
Okay, right.
No need to amend this.
No need to amend it.
Fantastic. Okay, so without objection, that'll be the order. We'll approve item 1 to vacate the street. Congratulations. Let's move forward on the project. Okay. With that, thank you. Move forward. Okay, fantastic. It looks beautiful. Great project. Okay, great. Okay, with that, let's move forward on item number 3.
Item number 3 are reports and ordinances from the city attorney relative to finding that the public interest and necessity require the 6th Street Viaduct Replacement Project and acquisition of property therefore.
Hi, welcome.
Good afternoon, members.
Good afternoon.
Deputy City Attorney John Miner presenting report number R14-0071. This is the second report that we've presented to this committee and to the council in connection with the 6th Street Bridge project. Obviously, the demolition and the reconstruction of the bridge is going to require acquisition of properties kind of within the fall line and nearby the bridge for construction or reconstruction. The Bureau of Engineering, its real estate chief is Uri Jimenez. He's here on my right. And the project manager, Alfred Mata, has a big job, is here on my left. Mr. Jimenez and his team have been doing a yeoman's job in terms of negotiating with and acquiring several pieces of property that are needed for the project via voluntary acquisitions, voluntary purchase and sale agreements. But as happened the last time, and I'm sure it'll happen again in the future, there are certain properties and certain owners that we're just unable to come to terms with for a variety of reasons. And in order to keep the project moving, we need the right to invoke the power of eminent domain to acquire these properties after, of course...
Which were the properties that
there
are issues with?
There are 3 full takes, parcels 16A, 18.2 and F,
Okay.
and 18.3 F. And then there are 4 temporary construction easements that will only need for maybe 36 or 42 months, kind of along the way of the bridge.
This photo here, which of the properties are we talking about that's going to be impacted?
Is that 18?
18.2? Okay.
Right. So 18.2 and 18.3 are fee takes, and I believe the owner and his counsel for that property has requested to speak.
Thank you. We have a copy of it. Great. Thank you.
Right, and you'll be able to hear.
Yes, we'll bring him up in a
Right,
minute.
afterwards. But basically, the properties that we've identified in the report and in the ordinance, which, by the way, this report and ordinance revises a previously issued report and ordinance in the same regard. We just had to add one particular property. So I'd like the clerk of the committee and others to be sure that the report that goes forward is R14-0071 and not 0044.
Do you get that, Michael?
Yes, I believe this is the ordinance that's dated on February 27, 2014.
Right.
Yes, that's the correct ordinance that we want presented. And we have, members, you may recall this from the last time we were here in October, a rendering of the 6th Street Bridge in its as-completed state. It's going to be a state-of-the-art bridge in both appearance, design, and function. And it's a $400 million project, and we need certain properties because of the slight rerouting of the bridge in order to accomplish this. And like I said earlier, this probably will not be the last time we come before you seeking to acquire property by the power of eminent domain, but this is where we are at this point. We would request approval of this report.
Can you explain to this committee the efforts that have been made thus far in working with these businesses that will ultimately have be impacted? What's been done, community meetings?
Good afternoon. Udi Jimenez. There's 2 things. We acquire property and we help the displaced businesses to relocate. We're obligated by federal law, it's a federally funded project, to comply with the Uniform Act, and so all of our relocations we have to do according to that act. And what we do
Fair transition, though. It's not equal transition.
It's not necessary for businesses. It's different than residential or residential tenants.
I see.
And so the regulation basically says that we're obligated to help them move their things and reestablish their business at the replacement site. And in addition to that, for those owners that wish to relocate, we give them potential replacement sites. We give them advisory services, and we help them to make the move as easy as we can. And regarding that, the council is considering extending a tax holiday to the businesses that relocate into the city of Los Angeles.
For how many years?
For 2 to 3 years, depending on the type of business and when they establish. And so that's being considered by the council. We're doing some research, and we're going back to the council with that.
Put up that map again, sir. I can. Thank you. Out of all of those, the properties that are going to have an impact, how many of them still have an issue with the project? Did you say 3?
The current report right now is addressing this property here,
Right.
and then this one in green, and then an attached strip of land that's owned by the same owner, and those three are part of this report. The properties to the south are temporary construction easements to protect the buildings as the bridge is demolished. So those are temporary, and we haven't reached agreement with some of these owners in terms of their concerns regarding the demolition of the building, which is really the concern with a couple of them. And just to let you know that we're obligated to comply with certain rules and regulations in terms of noise and vibration and things like that. And it is anticipated that the demolition contractor and the builder will monitor some of the buildings that are in proximity to the new bridge and to the old bridge in terms of the vibration and the noise and the dust that has to be controlled. And that's an obligation that the contractor will have to meet in terms of both the demolition and the construction, which is the main concern with some of the owners that were having difficulty in reaching an agreement at this point.
Mr. Price, questions?
So those three bids are subject to the domain now then, or?
Yes, that's what we're asking for now, that the council approve the right to move forward with the condemnation of those properties.
And the more properties you may have to domain, you'd come to this committee.
Correct.
And you foresee that?
A couple
Moving
more,
forward.
possibly.
Possibly.
We're continuing to negotiate, and we continue to negotiate as much as we can. And when we reach a negotiated settlement, and we have on some of the other properties, when we reach an impasse, we come to you to move forward with the project.
Okay.
And one of the concerns that we always have to be careful of is that we only want to acquire the property that we need. We don't want to take any more or any less. And the properties that have been identified in the prior report and in this report identify only those properties that we need. I think one of the breakdowns which you may hear the speakers talk about is that they've countered the city's, what I believe, reasonable offers with offers to acquire an entire block north of the bridge, which obviously we won't need. But I'll let others speak to that. But the project team, project manager, and the real estate staff are very careful in identifying the projects that we need relative to the footprint of the bridge. Like I say, this is the second report, and there may be possibly one more round of properties that will have to come back, but we're making good progress and negotiating a lot of deals outside of the context of eminent domain. But we have to do what we have to do at this time.
Okay, thank you. We have a few speaker cards on this item. Mr. Thomas Frickery? Freiber. Peter Senegren Khan?
That's me.
Thank you. And then our last speaker would be Jeff. This is on item 3, right? Okay.
By way of introduction, Peter Kahn is the owner or a co-owner of Senegram Holdings,
Okay.
and I'm the
You're,
attorney.
you're subject to 2 minutes. Are you good with 2 minutes? How many?
Can we start over? I'm just introducing
That's fine. Yes.
who we are.
Okay.
And I'm the attorney for
Okay.
Senegram Holdings. Mr. Kahn is going to speak for 2 minutes, and then I will speak for 2 minutes.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Khan.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Welcome.
Just to give you a little background, my business, Cal Fiber, which operates in the 625, 627 property, is 112 years old. That's 1902. The building next door to that, 619, is 100 years old as of now, as of this month, 2014. It is a URM, unreinforced building that has been upgraded. We were the beta site for the city of Los Angeles when they were doing the URM upgrading, and a lot of testing was done there. Our occupancy in that building are artists. They're painters who deal with oil and canvas, basically. And we have given them permission to, or in the lease, not permission, in the lease it says that they're not to use radios, there's no living in the property, they strictly are all professional artists, they're teachers at Cal State, at UCLA, Pomona, and a variety of different places. The plans on the buildings, all the 4 buildings that we were talking about that we referred to earlier, they are, all of the plans say that we're not to use any kind of rotary hammer equipment in the buildings because they are pre-1933. That is stamped on all of our plans. Our building at 615 is a garment manufacturer and the only error that any of these tenants get, that building was built in the early 20s, is from the exposure to the west, which that building is going to be torn down, and that's going to be the staging area for the concrete and whatever else when the bridge is torn down. And we are going to have problems with dust and noise pollution.
What are the terms of the lease here for your
I have not renewed any leases because of this. I've known about this project for over 10 years and have told all my tenants I have 4 studios where the people have moved out already.
You're saying they're on a month-to-month right now?
Everybody is on month. Of the 16 studios, 4 have moved out and the rest are waiting to hear what's going to happen. They want to stay there as long as they can.
Thank you.
I have a building at 601 Anderson also, which we did not offer in the last, put in the last offer, but the tenant moved out because of the noise and dust pollution. It was the studio.
Thank you.
Also.
Mr. Fever?
Yes.
Speak close to the mic, please.
Excuse me?
Speak close to the mic.
Okay. I'll rearrange things here.
Thank you.
The photograph that you have in front of you was taken by Mr. Kahn from the existing bridge. Centigram Holdings owns 7 buildings. The first one you say adjacent to the bridge with the gray roof has been taken. We've settled with the city on that. The one with the white roof is the subject of today's hearing.
I see.
The city proposes to take it. The next building, the red brick building, where the artist studios are located, is not being taken. It says Philip Centigram across the top. That's Mr. Kahn's grandfather. In order for the city council to adopt a resolution of necessity, as you know, it must make certain findings. And one of those is that the project is planned in a manner that would be most compatible with the greatest public good and the least private injury. The key word is planned. To our knowledge, there is no formal published demolition plan. We've been told that during demolition, enormous chunks of concrete will be allowed to fall to the ground. The roadway of the bridge is 150 feet above the ground. That's roughly 10 or 12 stories. So huge chunks of concrete are going to fall to the ground. There will be tremendous vibration. The Philip Centigram building is going to be in jeopardy. And we feel that it's premature to adopt a resolution of necessity because the finding that I referred to has not been complied with.
Thank you. Can we bring back up Mr. Minor? You can please take your seats. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. If the staff can identify... Yeah, that's what I want to ask. If you can you address the concerns? You know, ultimately, we want both sides to agree and not to take this route, but I understand that if we have to eminent domain this location, then we'll have to do that. But, of course, my main goal is, one, to avoid litigation and delay the project if this thing gets tied up in court. I'm going through that in my district with the BNSF SCIG project. Can you address their concerns about no formal demo plan?
I'd like to have the project
Please.
manager speak
Thank you.
to that.
Alfred Mata from the Bureau of Engineering. I'm the project manager. We are in the process of developing the demolition plans. We're currently proceeding with the 65% design plan preparation, which is part of the normal process. During the EIR phase of the project, we identified what this potential project is going to be and the impacts are going to be, including the demolition and construction. And from there, we identified all the property impacts. And this was one of the
So once
property-
you have that, how are those findings going to impact what we do today?
We do not anticipate that any of the demolition activities will impact any building beyond what we've identified. So if I understood what was being said here just prior to us coming up, is that building adjacent to the one we're trying to acquire today is potentially also going to be impacted, as was being said. We haven't identified that as being impacted. It's outside the limits of the viaduct. It extends beyond the limits of the demolition. We don't anticipate that it will impact it.
Okay. You don't anticipate it?
Correct.
I prefer to hear
it won't
impact.
Demolition is an inexact science.
Right.
But we've determined that the distances between the northern edge of the bridge that's going to come down and the red brick building is sufficiently far enough away, and when the work is done to ensure that crashing concrete and falling rocks are mitigated, the impacts of those are mitigated, we just don't see the need to acquire properties
Beyond that, right?
that far north of the bridge.
Including the red brick building.
I think if we bring that map up again, Udi, if you can hold that up, we might be able to illustrate this a little better. You can see on there the existing viaduct. Can you see that on the image? It's paved right there. Now the building the red line shows the new viaduct alignment, which is just to there. Now the building that we're talking about is right there by the new construction, and then the building that is adjacent to it is further to the north. So the demolition is quite a bit to the south of the buildings. The demolition of the existing viaduct is not near the building.
Again, the red brick building we're talking about.
It's not near the red brick building.
It's not near that. Okay, got it. Mr. Price?
I just want to add one.
Yes, please.
In terms of what I said earlier, there's going to be monitoring of the businesses and the buildings that are around, both for dust, noise, and vibration. So there's going to be some surveys that are going to be taken before and after to see if there's what kind of activity in terms of settlement or vibration, things like that. So we can discuss this with the owner in terms of how we inspect it before and after, and record the condition in the before and after, so that there's assurance that we're going to do whatever we can to mitigate any potential damages as a result of vibration.
Got it. Thank you. Appreciate that. And then our last speaker card on this item, Jeff, I'm sorry, is the last name General? General Jeff. General Jeff. Welcome. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon. I just want to say that my name is General Jeff. I'm on the Board of Directors for the Downtown Los Angeles Neighborhood Council, where I represent the Skid Row residents. However, I'm not here today on behalf of the Neighborhood Council, but I am here today on behalf of the Skid Row residents as a resident myself, and also a Skid Row community activist and chair of the Skid Row Public Space Task Force. So now we're in full support of this project. The reason why this matters to us is because we've been attending the outreach meetings, and we find out that there will be traffic mitigation overflow that will affect both 5th Street and 7th Streets westward of the bridge of the construction area, and so that actually comes directly into Skid Row. And so there have been thorough, extensive research done in terms of anticipation of installing traffic lights and numerous things. And so we're very excited about this, and we just want to lend our overall support for this project, knowing that it will help change the landscape of downtown Los Angeles for the better. Thank you.
Thank you, General Jeff, and thank you for your service to our city and our neighborhood councils. Thank you, sir. Mr. Price, any comments?
No. I'd like the budget moving forward. We're going into it.
Let's just hope to see it while we're here. Again, just like the last project in South Los Angeles, we shouldn't delay progress. So what we're going to do, we're going to adopt the recommendations contained in the February 27th report. That is a February 27, 2014 City Attorney Report, and present and adopt the ordinance dated February 27, 2014. And what we'll do, the other report, we'll receive and file the City Attorney Report dated February 5th, 2014. Okay with that, Mr. Clerk?
Yes, and if it's okay with the committee also to not present and order filed the ordinance dated February 5th.
So ordered. Very good. Okay, at this point, we will adjourn the regular meeting and call to order the special meeting, item number 1. If you can read that into the record, sir.
Yes, item number 1 is a report from the Bureau of Engineering relative to a vacation of Beach Knoll Road excess right-of-way adjacent to Lot 44, track number 6840.
Great. I have no questions on this item. Mr. Price, do you?
I do not either.
Okay. This is something for an item from Mr. Labange's office that wanted to see this go forward and asked us to put this on a special meeting on the agenda. So, hearing no objections, we will approve item 1 in the special meeting on consent. You good with that, Lisa? Okay, fantastic. Fantastic. So that'll be the order on the special agenda, item number 1. Okay. So with that, I think that concludes. That looks like we touched all the items. That concludes today's Public Works and Gain Reduction meeting, and we'll see you at the next one. Thank you very much.
Good job, sir.